you get that footage of Diddy?
I figured most journalists would not disclose their sources.
Does he know y'all have this in the doc?
I would doubt he knows.
So when this airs, that'll be the first time that his legal team, Diddy, that everybody knows that this footage is now seeing the light of day, perhaps.
Gene Deal just spilled the tea, and what he's dropping is straight up bonkers. You remember that Netflix documentary about Diddy everyone's been talking? Well, the footage Gene Deal had was way too hot for Netflix to handle. They had to leave it out. But here's the kicker. Gene's about to drop every single piece of dirt that 50 Cent had to hide. And believe me, this is gonna flip everything you thought you knew upside down. Listen, I know you clicked because you want the raw truth, the stuff they don't want you seeing, and that's exactly what's coming your way. Gene Deal, Diddy's old bodyguard who saw it all go down with his own eyes, finally sat down for an interview, and he's not biting his tongue anymore.
It don't even sound, I want to put her on blast because she was telling me, she was saying to me that what I was asking for was crazy and they wasn't spending money like that. I'm talking about you got footage, you got clothing, you got, I was doing footage, I had pictures, all the stuff that I had, you could figure out a way to pay a brother and stuff like that. And then I was telling her about some prices that I've already received and I had the invoices to show it. And then she was calling me like I was lying. I was like, yo, who do you think you talking to? You know what I'm saying? And she was talking about, there's no way nobody paid. Nobody what? I say, first of all you people come with these documentaries and stuff, the first thing you tell me, y'all tell these people out here that y'all don't pay, and y'all pay. If you can make a picture look like $10,000, $15,000, you know what I'm saying? You can sit here and tell me that you're gonna pay me for my time sitting right down here with y'all. You understand? So then, one thing led to another, and I was like, all right, well then, F you, I spoke to 50, and then she said 50, and this is exact words that came out her mouth. 50 does not determine what goes in and go out of this documentary.
Here's what you gotta know. Gene was supposed to be featured in the Netflix documentary. He chopped it up with 50 Cent for 45 minutes straight. They had everything mapped out, but then things went sideways. The director played him dirty, and Gene said forget it and bounced. Now he's exposing all the stories that got cut. You're gonna learn the real deal behind the City College disaster, the truth about Anthony Wolf Jones, what actually went down with Kim Porter, and why major celebrities dropped cash to stay out of this documentary. Everything 50 Cent couldn't put on screen is about to get exposed right here, right now. So let's jump in. Before we get to the leaked info, you gotta understand what happened backstage, because this is absolutely wild. 50 Cent and Netflix just dropped this documentary called Sean Combs, The Reckoning. It shot straight to #1 on Netflix instantly. Everybody's streaming it, everybody's gossiping about it. But here's what they're keeping from you. This documentary skipped over some of the most crucial stories. Gene Deal was Diddy's bodyguard for years. This dude witnessed everything. The wild parties, the beatings, the shady business moves, the tragedies, all of it. He's been stacking up footage and proof for years, just waiting for the perfect time to expose the truth. Now, Gene originally wanted to be part of 50 Cent's documentary.
It was Puff, Heavy D, and Jessica. You know what I'm saying? Jessica was the reason why those kids lost their life, because she locked the door on those kids running down the step. You understand? You could see her name in a news article, but they didn't mention nothing about her taking place, but they try to put Heavy D, God bless the dead, out there, and they put Puff out there. You know what I'm saying? She should have been the main one, because she is the one who locked the door on the kids. You understand? She is the one who locked the door on the kids, and all those kids lost their life.
He trusted the vision. He thought this was finally going to be the moment where the real story got told. But then he sat down with the director, a woman named Alex Stapleton. And let me tell you, that meeting went completely south. Gene wanted to handle this properly. He tried to set up a package deal with 2 other dudes who knew Diddy from way back, Tim and Kirk Burrows. These 3 guys could have dropped the complete story from Diddy's come up to the street game to the business empire. Everything. Gene pitched $50,000 for all 3 of them together. That's reasonable, right? Especially when you think about the value of the footage and evidence they were bringing. But here's where things get sketchy. Alex Stapleton, the director, told Gene something straight up disrespectful. She said 50 Cent doesn't control what makes it into the documentary. He doesn't decide who gets paid. She basically revealed that 50's name is just being used for marketing, but he doesn't actually run the project. Gene felt totally played. He had receipts showing what other documentaries had paid him before. He showed her the proof, but she straight up called him a liar. Can you believe that? This man put his life on the line protecting Diddy, saw actual criminal activity, collected evidence for years, and the director treated him like he was capping. And here's the wildest part. While Gene was trying to get everyone paid fairly, Kirk Burroughs was making sneaky deals on the side. That's how the game works, right? Everybody's grinding for themselves. Gene was trying to look out for the whole team, but Kirk was securing his own bag behind closed doors. So Gene walked away.
Well, what I feel about the documentary, they left a whole lot of key things out. If they was going to do something and they're going to say in the reckoning of Sean Combs, the reckoning, or Diddy, the reckoning and stuff like that, it should have been a lot of people that we lost because of him. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't only Big. It wasn't only Tupac, you understand? For the atmosphere that he put those kids in. You got a guy named Anthony Wolf Jones, who was from Bad Boy, from its conception as doing security and being one of the financiers of Puff having to have some money to keep Big and Craig Mack around before he got to Clyde Davis.
He refused to be part of it, and that's why the documentary you watched on Netflix feels like it's missing pieces. Because the guy who knew the most said, no thanks, but now he's ready to expose everything they left out. Let's start with something the documentary barely covered, how Bad Boy Records was actually set up, because this matters. This breaks down everything. Kirk Burroughs, one of the guys I just mentioned, owned 25% of Bad Boy Records from the jump. Diddy owned the other 75%, but here's the twist. It was all registered under his mother's name, Janice Combs. Why would Diddy do that? Why not put the company in his own name? Gene Deal knows exactly why. It was a move to dodge legal problems. See, Diddy knew he was going to get hit with lawsuits after the City College disaster. We'll break down that story in a second, but just understand 9 people lost their lives at an event Diddy set up. Their families were going to sue, so Diddy made sure the company wasn't attached to his name. Clever, right? Shady as hell, but clever. But then Diddy decided he wanted Kirk's 25% slice too. According to Kirk's own words in the documentary, Diddy rolled up with a baseball bat. He threatened Kirk's life, made him sign over his ownership in the company. Kirk tried to take him to court in 2003, but the case got tossed because too much time had gone by.
Marlon, have you seen that the documentary, the 50 Cent?
No, I haven't seen it yet.
For Diddy?
I haven't seen it.
Oh man, you working
Everybody
hard.
telling me you got to see it.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah,
Part of me don't want to see it.
You probably don't.
Because it's all skewed, man. Like when you put stuff together, you create whatever narratives you want to, and at the end of the day, everybody being programmed. You know, right now the man's serving time.
Right.
You know, he went before the court. The court said this, and everything is God. But God said this is what he got to do. He got to do 5 years in pen. Let him do his 5 years.
Think about that. Kirk helped build Bad Boy Records from scratch. He put in the work. He built the brand alongside Diddy, and then Diddy snatched everything from him, using violence and threats. Kirk ended up on the streets at one point, while Diddy stacked billions off the company they created together. The documentary touched on this story, but they didn't dig deep enough. Gene Deal could have broken down the whole scheme. He could have exposed how Diddy used his mother's name to stash money and dodge lawsuits, but none of that made the final edit. Makes you wonder, doesn't it? Now this is where things get really twisted. Gene Deal says there's a whole murder case that the documentary completely skipped, and I'm talking about Anthony Wolf Jones. Wolf was Bad Boy's head of security from the very beginning. This dude was there before Clive Davis, before the record contracts, before everything. He was one of Diddy's most trusted soldiers. He knew everything, and I mean everything. Where the secrets were buried, who got paid off, what really popped off at those parties. Wolf had all the dirt, and according to Gene Deal, Diddy's moves directly caused Wolf's murder. Now, Gene says the documentary crew didn't have the inside info to tell this story right. They didn't do the digging. They didn't have the proof, or maybe they had it and chose to bury it. Wolf got killed by someone connected to BMF. That's Black Mafia family, one of the most notorious criminal setups in hip-hop history. And Gene is claiming there's a straight line between Wolf's death and Diddy, but the documentary barely mentioned Wolf at all. They threw up a couple photos, said he was security, and kept it moving. Why? Because this story is way too dangerous. It connects to real gangsters, real murders, real organized crime. Netflix didn't want to go there. 50 Cent probably didn't want to go there either. But Gene Deal is saying this story deserves to be told. Wolf's death wasn't some random incident. It was linked to everything else. This next story is going to get you heated because the documentary mentioned the City College disaster, but they didn't give you the full picture. Gene Deal was actually on site that night. He saw everything go down, and what he's revealing completely changes the whole narrative. December 28th, 1991, Diddy organized this celebrity basketball game at City College in New York. It was supposed to be this massive charity event. Heavy D was involved. All the major celebrities were coming. Mike Tyson, LL Cool J, everybody. The spot was jam-packed. Now, Gene Deal's security crew was originally hired to handle the outside. He had 18 guys ready to work. They had dogs, Rottweilers, pit bulls. They had barriers set up. They had a complete system to manage the crowd. Gene understood how people act in Harlem when celebrities pull up. He was ready for it. But the day before the event, Diddy came to Gene and said Heavy D didn't want his security crew there anymore. They got fired just like that, no professional security. So when the event went down, total chaos erupted. Thousands of people were trying to push inside. When Mike Tyson and LL Cool J walked through the front entrance instead of the back, the crowd lost it. They mobbed the entrance. People were getting crushed in the stairwell. Now, here's the part the documentary buried. There was a woman named Jessica Rosenblum. She was one of the promoters working with Diddy and Heavy D. When Jessica saw the crowd pushing forward, she freaked out. But she wasn't stressed about the people. She was stressing about the money box, all the cash from ticket sales. Gene says Jessica snatched the money and locked the door at the bottom of the stairs. She locked it to guard the cash, and when she locked that door, she trapped hundreds of people in that stairwell. 9 people died. 9 young people crushed to death because someone locked a door to protect cash. Gene couldn't get down the stairs because of the mob. He had to run around the whole gymnasium, enter from another way, and start forcing doors open from the inside. By the time he got there, young people were already gone. He did CPR on a 17-year-old kid. The kid died anyway. The boy's older brother was there sobbing, saying, "This is the first time I ever took my little brother anywhere. My mom is gonna kill me." Gene Deal saw all of this. He knows exactly what went down. He knows who locked that door. But Jessica Rosenblum never faced any consequences. Her name pops up in old news reports, but that's it. No criminal charges, no accountability, nothing. The documentary brought up the City College disaster, but they put the spotlight on Diddy and Heavy D. They never discussed Jessica. They never explained why Gene's security crew got fired. They never told you that someone locked a door to save money while 9 people lost their lives. Gene could have told this story in the documentary. He wanted to, but it didn't make the cut. And you gotta ask yourself why. Let's discuss why Gene really bounced from this documentary, because the backstage drama is just as insane as the stories he's trying to expose. Gene arranged this whole package deal, right? Him, Tim, and Kirk Burrows, 3 guys who knew Diddy from different perspectives. Tim knew about the childhood and the come-up years. Kirk knew about the business angles. Gene knew about the streets, the violence, the security operations. Together, they could have dropped the complete story. But then Alex Stapleton, the director, started moving weird. She told Gene that what he was asking for was outrageous money. She claimed they weren't working with that kind of budget. Gene showed her receipts from other documentaries that had paid him similar amounts. He had the proof, but she brushed it off. Then she said something that really got under Gene's skin. She told him that 50 Cent doesn't control what goes in the documentary. 50 doesn't decide who gets compensated. She made it obvious that 50's name was just being used for hype, but he didn't actually have creative say. Now, think about that. They're marketing this as 50 Cent's documentary about Diddy. They're using his beef with Diddy to push the show. But backstage, 50 doesn't actually control what gets shown. That's crazy. Gene felt disrespected. He's been sharing these stories for years on his own platforms. He has real evidence, footage, photos, documents, and this director is treating him like he doesn't matter. Meanwhile, Kirk Burrows was making his own backdoor deals. He was hitting up Gene, trying to pressure him to take less money, but Gene discovered Kirk was cutting his own separate contract behind everybody's back. That's the industry, man. Everybody's hustling for themselves. So, Gene told them all to kick rocks. He bounced, and that's why the documentary feels incomplete. That's why so many crucial stories got skipped. The guy with the most knowledge refused to participate because he got played. Here's something that really bugs people who watch the documentary. They barely mentioned Kim Porter. Diddy's ex-girlfriend, mother of his kids, died out of nowhere in 2018. She was only 47 years old. Officially, they claimed it was pneumonia. But mad people have questions about what really happened. Kim Porter knew everything about Diddy. She was with him for years. She witnessed the parties, the business operations, the violence, everything. And then she dies suddenly. And the documentary doesn't really touch on it. Multiple sources have claimed the documentary deliberately dodged the Kim Porter story. It's too sensitive, too controversial, maybe even too risky. But Gene Deal has information about what actually went down. He knew Kim. He protected her sometimes. He knows things, but none of that made it into the documentary. They showed a few photos of Kim, mentioned she was the mother of his kids, and moved forward. For someone who was such a major part of Diddy's life, she deserved way more attention, unless there's a reason they wanted to skip that story. Let's discuss something suspicious. Diddy threw parties for decades. Massive parties with A-list celebrities, actors, musicians, athletes, politicians. Everybody hit up Diddy's parties. That was the whole thing about him. He knew everyone. He had plugs everywhere. So why doesn't the documentary feature any of these celebrities? Why aren't there stories about what popped off at those parties? You're telling me Diddy hosted hundreds of wild events and not a single celebrity was ever involved? Come on! Gene Deal believes that A-list celebrities paid 50 Cent to keep them out of the documentary. Think about it. These people have careers to protect, families, reputations. If their names got connected to Diddy's crimes, their lives would be destroyed. So they paid up, and 50 Cent took the money, because at the end of the day, 50 is a businessman. He's not trying to wreck other people's careers. He just wanted to expose Diddy. But that means the documentary isn't showing the complete picture. It's showing a cleaned-up version, a version that protects powerful people while throwing Diddy under the bus. And Gene sees straight through it. Speaking of celebrities staying silent, peep what Marlon Wayans said about the documentary. Someone asked him if he'd watched it, and his response was mad interesting. Marlon said he hasn't seen it and probably won't watch it. Then he said something that got everybody's attention. He called it a narrative. He said, when you put stuff together, you can create whatever story you want. Everybody's being programmed. Now, why would Marlon say that? Is he defending Diddy, or is he calling out the documentary for being slanted? Or maybe, and this is what mad people think, Marlon has his own history with Diddy that he doesn't want to discuss. There have been whispers for years about Marlon and Diddy. Nothing confirmed, just industry talk. And when Marlon refuses to watch the documentary and starts talking about narratives and programming, it makes you question, what does he know? Gene Deal probably has information about Marlon too, about tons of celebrities, but none of them wanted their stories exposed, so they stayed out of it. Now let's discuss the most controversial part of this whole documentary, the footage, the backstage videos of Diddy before his arrest. Where did 50 Cent get that footage? The documentary shows Diddy in his hotel room in New York talking to his lawyer on speakerphone. He's plotting strategy, complaining about the media, trying to figure out his next move. This is intimate footage, private conversations. Diddy had hired a videographer to film him during this period. Maybe he thought he was going to make his own documentary later. Maybe he just wanted documentation of everything. Whatever the reason, someone was following him with a camera. But here's the issue. That footage belonged to Diddy. The videographer was working for him. There were NDAs signed, contracts in place, and somehow 50 Cent got his hands on it. Diddy's lawyers immediately fired off a cease and desist to Netflix. They called it stolen footage that was never authorized for release. They demanded Netflix pull the entire documentary. Netflix responded by claiming they obtained the footage legally, but they won't reveal how. 50 Cent won't say where it came from. The videographer hasn't spoken publicly. So what actually happened? Did the videographer sell the footage because Diddy never paid him? That's one theory. Gene mentions in his interview that Diddy has a track record of not paying people. Maybe the videographer was another person who decided to get revenge, or did 50 Cent pay someone to steal it? Is this footage actually illegal? We don't know, but it's definitely shady, and it makes you question everything else in the documentary. Gene Deal has first-hand experience with Diddy's violence, and one of the stories he shares is about protecting Misa Hilton, the mother of Diddy's first son, Justin. After Gene stopped working for Diddy, Misa asked him to be her bodyguard. She wanted to go out and live her life, but she was scared of Diddy. She knew what he was capable of. Gene charged her $2,250 for a couple hours of protection, and he made it crystal clear to her, if Diddy shows up and sees you with me, he won't do anything. Diddy knows who Gene is. He knows Gene isn't scared of him. The documentary includes a story from Eric Sermon, the rapper and producer. Eric talks about a time when he was in a car with Misa and Diddy showed up and attacked her. Diddy swung on Misa right there in the street in front of Eric. Eric said Diddy challenged him to come around the corner and fight, but Eric didn't do anything. He just went to listen to music instead. Gene thinks that's wild. He says if he had been there, if someone was in his car and Diddy attacked them, he would have protected them no matter who it was. Gene confirms that Diddy had a serious issue with violence against women. Everybody knew it. It wasn't hidden in the industry, but people ignored it because Diddy was powerful and loaded. The documentary showed the video of Diddy attacking Cassie in that hotel hallway. Everyone was shocked, but Gene's saying this behavior wasn't new. He'd been doing this for decades. The only difference is that video got leaked. So, after all of this, what does Gene Deal actually think of the documentary? He watched it, he studied it, he took notes, and his verdict is pretty brutal. Gene says it's old news. Everything in the documentary, people in the industry already knew. The wild parties, the violence, the control, the manipulation. None of it was new information. It was just packaged nicely for regular audiences. The only fresh thing was that backstage footage of Diddy before his arrest. That was interesting. Seeing him talk to his lawyers, seeing him stress about the media, seeing him try to figure out his next play. That was valuable. But everything else? Gene says you watch it once and you're done. There's no reason to go back and watch it again. Nothing shocking enough, nothing deep enough. And Gene knows this because he could have made it better. He could have provided the depth, the real stories, the actual evidence, but they didn't want that. They wanted a safe documentary that would get views on Netflix without actually putting anyone important at risk. The documentary pinned everything on Diddy, made him look like the only villain in the industry. But Gene knows the truth. There are tons of villains, tons of people who knew what was happening and did nothing. Tons of people who participated and got away with it. But those people aren't in the documentary. Their names were protected, their secrets stayed buried, and that's why Gene calls it incomplete. Look, here's what you need to understand. Gene Deal has been sharing these stories for years, long before Netflix got involved, long before 50 Cent decided to make a documentary. Gene has been on podcasts, on YouTube, on his own channels, exposing the truth about what he witnessed. Now I want to hear from you. What story shocked you the most? What do you think 50 Cent should have included in the documentary? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Let's have a real conversation about this. I'll catch you in the next one. Stay woke out there.